Welcome, everyone. Today, we mourn the loss of our beloved Audrey Durst. I know that our hearts are all broken today. We're feeling such sadness, such loss. To say that Audrey was beloved would be an understatement. As a matter of fact, it is difficult to find the words which can truly capture how significant a role Audrey Durst has played in all of our lives and here at Temple Sholom. Here in our synagogue, Temple Sholom, for parts of the last 7 decades, Audrey has been a fixture here. This is an enormous, devastating loss for the Temple Sholom community, and we know that the loss is so much more profound for Audrey's beloved family. All of you, Audrey's family, you were Audrey's treasures, the most important people in her life, her greatest pride and joy. She loved you all with such devotion and such passion. And I know that all of you feel exactly the same way about her, your beloved mother, grandmother, great-grandmother, relative, friend to all of us, Audrey Durst. Audrey truly made this world a better place for all those she encountered, her family, her friends, her Temple Sholom community, many others as well. She touched so many hearts in so many different ways. I must say that I personally feel so fortunate to have had the opportunity of getting to know Audrey over the last 7 or 8 years. She has meant so much to my family and I. She welcomed us to Temple Sholom with open arms and enthusiasm. She has been so supportive. We are truly grateful and appreciative. I will always treasure my time with Audrey, and I will certainly miss her very much. So it is a privilege for me to have this opportunity to share some reflections about Audrey today and to chant the traditional sacred prayers in her honor. Soon we will hear from those who knew Audrey best, her family members. I know that she was truly the matriarch of your family, and she could certainly be called a matriarch of Temple Sholom as well. Audrey's time here at Temple Sholom goes all the way back to the year 1963, when she, along with her beloved husband Sheldon Durst, joined this community. They both remained deeply involved in this temple for their entire lives. Temple members still talk about all of the roles which Sheldon Durst played here at this temple, including organizing stucco projects, fundraising, including causes for children in need, and serving on many boards, in addition to other roles he played. And of course, everyone knows about Audrey's place here at Temple Sholom. The two of them, Sheldon and Audrey, were truly a force, and they were married to each other for almost 70 years. Their memory will always thrive here at Temple Sholom, including our regular meals and celebrations in the Sheldon and Audrey Durst Simcha room just down the lobby where we spent so much time together. And the love which Sheldon and Audrey felt for each other was so beautiful. Together, they treasured all of the moments which they shared. Now, we all know that Audrey never complained about anything, right? Everything was always fantastic, right? But I'll confide with all of you today that she did occasionally tell me how much she was missing Sheldon. So Audrey's presence in this temple was so strong, so powerful, it feels truly appropriate and very meaningful that we are able to honor her here in our sanctuary today, as we did for her husband Sheldon. Audrey spent countless hours praying and learning, celebrating with her friends and fellow congregants here at Temple Sholom. Audrey has been leading our committee of our Yom HaShoah ceremony, Holocaust remembrance, for many, many years. It was so important to her that the Holocaust be remembered and that we properly honor all of those who perished as well as the survivors. So she devoted countless hours to making sure that our ceremonies were always meaningful, educational, and inspiring. Not only Yom HaShoah, but also Kristallnacht, and sometimes even International Holocaust Remembrance Day as well. Audrey was instrumental in making all of this happen. Of course, she also played a central role in bringing us the Bernie Katcher Thanksgiving Ecumenical Service, where Audrey would lead us every year as we gather with our friends from across the street at St. Bernard's. And I'm so proud and honored that we can welcome several representatives, including clergy members, from St. Bernard's today. Thank you all for being here and joining us. It means a lot. All of these ceremonies will never be the same without Audrey. However, her partners, those who worked with her, and you all know who you are, we will continue to persevere. We will continue the crucial traditions which Audrey worked so hard to bring to us. And by continuing her work, we will honor her memory. We will honor Audrey's life. I think that it is fair to say that almost everyone at Temple Sholom knows who Audrey Durst is. She has been involved for many decades and with all different generations of this temple. She has worked with the children, with the families, with the seniors. She has served on the board of trustees for many years. Some of the work she has done has been very public, and some of it quite private. So central to Audrey's life was doing the work just for its own sake. She was never interested in accolades, never desiring of titles. She simply did what needed to be done because it was the right thing to do, never because she was looking for recognition or rewards. This is something I discussed with Audrey quite a bit, because Audrey, some of you may not know, was one of our most devoted attendees at the various classes which I have had the opportunity of teaching here at Temple Sholom in recent years. Audrey would almost never miss our Torah discussion, our prayer class, holiday classes, Pirkei Avot, the ethics of our sages. And those of you who joined those classes know that we would have many interesting discussions and that sometimes the ancient rabbis speak about how acting properly and with righteousness will lead to great reward. Audrey would often comment that this sentiment was difficult for her to accept. Why would we be looking for rewards, she would ask. Shouldn't we do what is right just for its own sake? This was Audrey's passionate belief, that we must do good in this world simply for its own sake. And definitely, I can say with confidence, that Audrey did so much good in this world. Her life was filled with meaning, and the legacy which she leaves behind is inspiring. This legacy includes many things. First of all, her family. Audrey's husband, Sheldon, to whom she was utterly devoted. Audrey's children, Barbara, Ronnie, and Bob Falkowitz. Grandchildren, Scott and Lauren Falkowitz, Gary and Lynn, Jason and Ariel, Sean and Rachel Zam, and Jonathan Zam. And great-grandchildren, Ethan Falkowitz of blessed memory, Landon Falkowitz, Reese, Andrew, Bradley, Spencer, Ryan, Zachary, Hunter Zam, and Logan. I also want to acknowledge family from out of town who are here today, Elaine and Jim Gillis and Chaim Durst. As I said, you were all Audrey's pride and joy. She loved you with unending passion, commitment, and devotion. And Audrey's legacy also includes her Temple Shalom community, all of us here today, as well as those who came before us, the previous generations of this temple. In conclusion, I must mention that Audrey passed away on Friday afternoon, which was the joyous Jewish holiday of Purim. And while our joy has turned to sadness for the moment, I feel that it is quite significant that Audrey Durst passed during this holiday. Purim celebrates the brave, courageous, strong, determined, kind, and beautiful person who was Queen Esther. And these traits of Esther are all ones that are shared by Audrey Durst as well. The parallel is strong and undeniable. Just as Esther provided strength to her family, so too Audrey provided strength to all of you, her beloved family. And just as Esther was an inspiration to her people, so too was Audrey an inspiration to me, to you, and to all of us. I will now recite the traditional words of Psalm 23 in Audrey's honor and Audrey's memory. And as I recite these words, I encourage all of you to focus on a moment you shared, a beautiful day, a beautiful experience, or even a single moment. I encourage you to think back to Audrey and all of her glory. Focus on this moment as I'll now chant the words of Psalm 23. Mizmor LeDavid, Adonai roi lo achsar. Binote sheyarbitzeni al mei menuchot yinahaleni. Nafshi yeshovev yancheni v'maglei tzedek leman shemo. Gam ki elech begeitz al mavet. Lo irara ki ata imadi, shivtecha umishantecha, hema yenachamuni, ta'aroch lefanai shulchan neged zorerai, dishanta vashemen roshi, kosi revaya, ach tov v'chesed yirdefuni, Kol yemei chayai veshavti beveit Adonai leorech yamim. A song of David. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not lack. God causes me to lie down in lush pastures. God leads me beside tranquil waters. God restores my soul and guides me in righteous paths for God's name's sake. Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your scepter and staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in full view of my adversaries. You have anointed my cup with oil. My cup overflows. May only goodness and kindness pursue me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Amen. I would now like to call upon Ronnie and Bob Falkowitz.
Good morning. My mom loved every moment of life, the good, the bad, and the ugly. She made lemonade out of lemons and applesauce out of apples. She was the most positive person I've ever met. She always had a beautiful smile on her face, a kind word to everyone, always found the good in people and situations, and always gave 110% of herself. She was selfless, always putting others first, making sure everyone, acquaintances included, had a place to be for the holidays or made sure they spent it with us. There was always room at our table for one more or 10 more. She believed that giving back to society was extremely important, especially since she had such a good life, and there were so many others that were not as fortunate. She volunteered at Downstate Hospital for over 50 years. For decades, she knit hats for children and adults who were going through chemo and donated them to St. Jude's, Shriners, and Chai Life. My mom was a major part of the ecumenical service with St. Bernard's under the leadership of Bernie Katcher and Frank Sedio. She played major roles in Kristallnacht and Yom HaShoah at our temple, working for months in advance to try to get the program and service just so. My mom was in the first group of docents at the Holocaust Museum in Manhattan. No matter how much my mom gave to others, she gave as much, if not more, to her family. Family first. She picked up Jason at school every single afternoon from kindergarten through 5th grade. She got out of school 10 minutes earlier than I did, and rather than have Jason wait on the corner, she picked him up every day. That came with an added attraction of buying him French fries for an afternoon snack. Jason can tell you how much it cost. It was a running joke with my mom and him. We baked together every Passover, making cakes to give out to family and friends. There was not a year that went by that we didn't. Eventually, she did the directing, or should I say teaching, after I had already learned to bake for decades. My mom had the most amazing sense of direction. My dad loved driving and would drive anywhere. You could blindfold my mom and she would be able to give you directions from wherever you were to wherever you wanted to go. The two were a perfect match for so many reasons. They loved each other unconditionally. They were always there for each other, holding hands and stealing kisses. The grandkids loved that. Kiss again, they would say and laugh. I have never seen or met a more kind, loving, attentive, respectful couple in my life. My mom wanted today to be a celebration of life. She told me that she never thought she would live this long. Whatever she did out of love, kindness, and generosity. Her last random act of kindness was just this week. On Thursday, we had my grandson Ethan's gala for his foundation. My mom's health was declining rapidly at that point. I knew that I was going to the gala to honor Ethan, but at the same time, I did not know what the future had in store for my mom. My emotions were torn, but I knew ultimately, no matter what, it was important for me to be with family on this very special evening. My mom gave me her blessing by waiting until Friday night to leave us physically. That was my mom's final random act of kindness. Once again, putting others first. I will miss the early morning calls with my mom, the afternoon calls, the evening calls, and all the calls in between, not to mention the time we spent together in between those calls. My mom loved life. She didn't waste a minute of the precious time she was given. Now she can truly celebrate. She'll be back with my dad, her parents, and Ethan. Mom, you are missed already. You are loved, as you always have been, and you taught your family well. We have learned, and we will go forward passing those lessons along. Thank you, Mom, for being our role model, for sharing your love, and for being ours.
Everyone here today touched by Audrey in one way or another. She had a timeless smile that make you feel special and always asking how you're doing. It is said a woman of value is one who takes care of her family, live a life of kindness, dignity, and selflessness. That was Audrey to a T. Her family meant everything to her. She had a special relationship with each grandchild here today, Scott, Gary, Jason, Sean, and so on. She read books. I'm going to continue. Scott, Sean, Jace, Jonathan. And if I left you out, I'm sorry.
Because there's so many of you.
She read books to them, knit sweaters, hats, made their favorite foods, chicken soup, kugel, besides those special road trips with each one. And with that, she had been doing the same for her great-grandchildren without the road trips. Ethan, Landon, Reese, Hunter, Logan, Andrew, Bradley, Spencer, Ryan, and not yet baby Zachary. There hasn't been a day that went by that Nana didn't have a Zoom call with her great-grandchildren. She loved seeing them sing, play, and just talk to her. Mom gave so much to this temple, which she loved. She coordinated both the Yom HaShoah, Kristallnacht Remembrance, and sending out get well cards to L members. Also making the connection with the, she made sure she would be at the last ecumenical service at St. Bernard's Church. She helps initiate a decade or so ago. No matter how difficult it was for her, she was there that evening. And she volunteered many, many years, I don't know how many, but Stony Brook University Hospital. And sending out hundreds, maybe even thousands, I'm not sure, knitted hats to the children at St. Jude's Hospital. And interesting, we'd take Audrey to doctor visits or even on trips. And the last thing in getting into the car, do you have my knitting bag with you? She had to knit while we were driving. For me, Audrey was only known as Mom from the get-go. Ronnie and I went on trips together with Dad and her, and just talking and hearing about her childhood days and growing up and what her current cousins and the young generation of her friends and relatives, what they're doing now. Mom had this impeccable sense of direction, which Ronnie said about getting children anywhere in this country. You gave so much to both Ronnie and Barbara, and so many of your great attributes to the people you love. I know that Ethan and Dad and the family, the strength you're going to give this family through the three of you will always be there. With much love and admiration.
Thank you so much, Ronnie and Bob. We'll now call upon Scott, please.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here today to honor and remember my grandmother, Audrey Durst. Grandma spent her life as a devoted wife, mother, grandmother, great-grandmother, friend, and teacher to all. She married the love of her life, Sheldon Durst, and together they built a beautiful life. Grandma and Grandpa shared an adventurous spirit, always ready to jump in the car and head off on a spontaneous trip, whether it was to the Berkshires, Lake George, Maine, or even a quick trip down to Maryland to meet us for dinner or lunch or dinner. They found joy in exploring together. When I was younger, in those pre-cell phone days, Grandma and Grandpa were always guilty of taking us away on road trips without a hotel, a destination, or a plan. Grandma loved to travel, but no matter where she was, her heart was always with her family. family meant everything to her, and she was immensely proud of her children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren. She was our biggest cheerleader, always encouraging us to reach our dreams, supporting us through every step of the journey. She always looked at everything with a positive attitude and gave everyone hope that things would always improve in the future. I have so many fond memories of Grandma and the way she made me feel truly special, which I think she tried to make everybody feel truly special. No matter what was going on, she always had time to listen, to offer advice, or just to share a laugh. She never hesitated to let me know how proud she was of me and the life and family I created. Andrew and Bradley were always eager for a trip up to the attic. I'm not sure if they loved climbing the ladder more or picking out the endless books, but Lauren and Grandma had a good laugh as I stressed out about the whole activity. And when it came to reading, Grandma would reward the boys for finishing books. If she read one herself, she'd jokingly expect them to pay her back. In recent years, FaceTiming became a part of our nightly routine. Nana would call us nightly at around 6:30. Andrew and Bradley would always share details about their day, what they were eating or not eating for dinner. Endless time sharing stories, putting on music shows, or just brightening her day with a little bit of chaos and laughter. Grandma cherished these moments. Her face would light up as she listened and watched. It was as if nothing made her happier than seeing her family connect and thrive. She was truly the glue that held us all together, making us each feel special and loved. Grandma's love wasn't just for family. She had a giving heart and was always looking for ways to make a difference. She knitted countless hats for St. Jude and all of her great-grandkids, including Bradley, who's already wondering who will make him a new hat next winter. Giving back to the community was so important to her. She especially loved supporting Temple Sholom and countless local charities. One of her greatest passions were co-chairing the annual ecumenical services, the Crystal Knock programs, where she worked tirelessly to bring people together and make a positive impact. As warm and loving as Grandma was, she also wasn't afraid to call you out if she didn't like your behavior and thought you were making a mistake. You always knew where you stood with her. She spoke her mind because she loved us and wanted the best for each of us. Her great-grandchildren were the light of her life. She took such joy in watching them grow. She was so excited for their future and loved every moment spent with them. Grandma Audrey was a remarkable woman who touched so many lives with her love, her generosity, and her unwavering dedication to her family. Today we say goodbye. Let's carry forward her legacy of kindness, strength, and love. Let's continue to make her proud by being there for one another, just as she was always there for all of us. We love you, Grandma. We will miss you more than words can say. Thank you for being our rock, our cheerleader, and our guiding light. We love you.
Thank you so much, Scott. We now call upon Sean, please.
One second. It was here a minute ago. Here we go. It's not like I haven't had a long time to figure out what I wanted to say here. This has been building for some time. We gather here today with heavy hearts, a collective of lives touched by the extraordinary presence of Audrey Durst. Through a profound sadness marks this moment, it is also an opportunity to celebrate a life lived with remarkable warmth, generosity, and unwavering love that extended to all who knew her. I stand before you today as one of her 5 guys, feeling both the weight of this loss and the immense honor of sharing a tribute to a woman who shaped my life and the lives of so many others in ways that words can only begin to express. To speak of Audrey Durst is to immediately recall her smile. It wasn't merely the pleasant expression. It possessed a unique luminosity, warmth that resonated deeply with everyone she encountered. Grandma's smile held the power that could shift the very climate around her. Being Audrey Durst's grandson was special. I felt like I was the luckiest. Whether it was here at Temple Sholom or going to the King's Plaza Diner, Grandma's warmth and generosity always came with greetings from many around us, leaving Scott, Gary, Jonathan, Jason, and I feeling proud to be one of Audrey's grandsons. Even later in life, when Grandma didn't leave her house as much, Rachel, Hunter, Logan, and I took her to a local Mill Basin restaurant. Families would stop by the table to talk to Grandma, genuinely checking in on her, hoping she was doing well, offering gratitude for something Grandma did to touch their lives at some point in the past. Audrey Durst possessed a heart deeply dedicated to giving back to the world around her. Her commitment to volunteering showcased her strong connection to both her faith and the broader community. Her involvement at the Museum for Jewish Heritage in Manhattan stands as a testament to this dedication. Her spirit of service also extended to SUNY Downstate. I remember the surprise and joy of unexpectedly seeing her there while I was visiting as a pharma sales representative. Her trademark smile, the one that could shift climate change, lit up her face as she introduced me to everyone she encountered in the hospital. While I knew she volunteered at SUNY Downstate, specifically helping new mothers care for their newborn babies, witnessing her in that environment connecting with so many people provided a deeper understanding of her impact. Growing up as one of Audrey's 5 guys meant being enveloped in the magic of her storytelling. These weren't just narrations. They were immersive experiences brought to life by her remarkable talent. I can still hear her voice shifting and changing to embody each character in the book. She didn't just read the words, she infused them with the very sense of the story, her voice mirroring the joy, sorrow, or suspense of each moment, something I could not wait for my children to experience. Growing into my adolescence, I remember taking the B100 bus home from school. I knew that a detour of 2 houses from the bus stop was a sanctuary where I could always find a fix of that genuine, uncompromising love that she shared equally for her 5 guys. Her home was a haven of affection, a place where we always felt welcomed and cherished. This same depth of love always extended to her great-grandchildren. I remember wondering if it was even possible to replicate that profound affection for yet another generation. Her welcome smile, the unwavering interest in every sound that came from their mouths, it was the same pure love. Nothing could come between Grandma and her attention to her great-grandchildren, not sickness, not age, not even the occasional misbehavior. Just 3 weeks ago, I witnessed this love in action once more, for the last time, in a particularly heartwarming way. Hunter and Logan, with the boundless energy of youth, were teaching their Nana to play the card game Uno. You could see her tire, the effort it took for her to maintain focus, but she fought with every ounce of energy to stay engaged with her great-grandchildren. And even in those seamlessly lighthearted moments, her inherent wisdom shone through. She found an opportunity to gently teach them why cheating is wrong. Her lesson delivered with the same loving and embracing manner that defined all her interactions. Audrey Durst possessed an innate need for continuous growth. A lifelong curiosity propelled her to seek knowledge and engage with the world around her. This wasn't a passive interest. It was an active pursuit, evidenced by her enrollment in lectures and classes with Temple Sholom. Audrey Durst. Audrey Durst. Audrey Durst. That name has so much meaning to so many. To me, it's Grandma, the one and only Grandma. The light in a challenging world, the ability to overcome because Grandma believes and prays and seems to know. The strength she gives us all. We are her 5 guys. She is our Grandma. All I want to do is call her, ask her questions, hear her smile over the phone. Tell her how amazing Logan is doing at math and how beautiful she is playing the piano. Tell her how Hunter has almost all A's and about the engaging conversations Hunter and I had over our sushi dinner. It's sad to think that life will be like without her. But then I close my eyes. And I think of what that moment was like when Grandpa greeted her at the gates of heaven. Taking her hand and giving her that kiss that we grew up watching Grandpa give Grandma. Always holding her hand. For 6+ years, she gave us strength we needed, even though her heart was broken. We suffocated her with the love of 10 great-grandchildren to help heal her broken heart. And it worked. Now, Grandma and Grandpa, hands clasped, dance together again, forever holding hands.
Thank you so much, Sean. We'll now call upon Gary, please.
We didn't have a chance to speak as her 5 guys before this, but you're going to hear a lot of similarities, a lot of the same words, a lot of similar stories, because my grandmother was nothing if not consistent with her love. Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for coming out today to honor my grandmother. This room gave my grandmother such a sense of home and family, which is odd because she already had such a tremendous sense of home and family. It just goes to show how big her heart truly was. I can still see myself sitting next to her on Saturday mornings in the back right over there, where everyone greeted her as they walked in, as if they were honoring the Queen, as the rabbi said. Her favorite game to play with me, if she thought maybe I was getting restless, was for me to guess where we were in the Siddur. She knew it would keep me busy, and she was also really confident that I could figure it out. I didn't mind it. It gave me an opportunity to show her that I could read Hebrew. Good thing, though, she didn't ask me what the meaning of anything in there was. Unfortunately, I come to this moment from a different perspective. My wife and I we've been grieving for 22 months for our son and my grandmother's first great-grandson, Ethan, who was following in her footsteps more than we could have ever asked for. And what we've learned about grief is that if you ask 100 people who are grieving how they're feeling, you get 100 different answers. So I'd like to give you mine. If you've ever read the book, The Giving Tree by Shel Silverstein, rest assured, you knew my grandmother. My grandmother was the giving tree. She gave until she had nothing more to give. She even gave my family the opportunity to celebrate Ethan the night before she left us, so that there would be no guilt. She added the letters ALA at the end of all of her grandchildren's names. It was her term of endearment, letting us know how much she loved us. Garila, Scotala, Jasala, Shonala, Jonala. And it put a smile on all of our faces when we heard it. She was a very proud woman. Wouldn't leave the house if her hair wasn't done. Never talked about her age. Never let you think that something was bothering her. Never complained. Even this last year, where it was obvious that everything was breaking down, she would say, "Everything is fantastic." Never allowed something to ruin her day, and if you came over to visit, it was the best present she could receive. My grandparents' house is like a museum. Not because you shouldn't touch anything, although you shouldn't, but because of the stories and personal value that every corner of that house contained. It was a house that was lived in, had countless celebrations in, and the family photos all throughout. And once you step in, there's a feeling of nostalgia that can't be replaced. My grandmother loved to show off her family, especially the grandchildren and great-grandchildren. Somehow she knew how to bond with everyone a little bit differently. She could talk to my wife like they were friends her whole life, explaining family dynamics or offering advice as if she too were a practicing attorney. She bonded with Ethan over music, especially the piano and saxophone. And if you know Ethan, that conversation could last a while. She loved to give Landon a carton of chocolate chips because if you know Landon, if you find something that he likes to eat, you stick with it. And she loved to watch Reese dance or teach her how to play cards. Somehow Reese always won. My grandmother would not have it any other way. As for me, my grandmother loved that I would come up with these new ideas, some silly and some not, and just wanted me to share them with her. "What new idea do you have today, Gary?" And whatever it was, she thought it was the best idea she ever heard. My grandmother had a way of giving you her full attention and making you feel great about whatever it is you were doing. What a beautiful gift, a gift of reassurance and confidence. My grandmother believed in community so much that she brought the temple and the church together on a yearly basis to celebrate each other. My grandmother donated blood, traveled on her own to and from museums to volunteer. She was a tremendous presence, not only in her children's lives, but her grandchildren's and great-grandchildren's lives. Speaking of giving, I can only imagine how many foundations, both real and fake, that will go out of business due to the stoppage of donation checks coming from my grandmother. She just didn't know how to say no. And I haven't even mentioned the love story that her and my grandfather had. Think of the most romantic and loving movie you've ever seen. I promise you it doesn't compare to my grandparents' story, the story of Audrey and Sheldon. They would make each other laugh. They would get in the car, put it into drive with no destination in mind. My grandmother as the navigator, holder of the cold washcloth, and knitter for hats for everyone in her life, while my grandfather just being told when to make a turn. They looked for ways to help, whether it was picking someone up from school, taking someone to an appointment, or doing one of my grandmother's favorite things, reading. You couldn't take the teacher out of my grandmother. When she started reading, she enunciated, made eye contact, and spoke very slowly to make sure you were listening. The pride she had in reading to others was really beautiful. What my grandparents really yearned for was the opportunity to take their grandchildren or even great-grandchildren away with them. Something they did with Ethan. Now some of you may think, how could that be fun? But somehow they made it amazing and memorable. They introduced us to the Berkshires in Ogunquit, Maine, which my family has now been going to every single summer since before Lynn and I got married. And each summer when we ask our kids if they want to go back, we get a resounding, "Why not? Of course." This isn't tragic. This is a celebration. My grandmother lived a life that all of us can only pray for. I will choose to celebrate all that her and my grandfather created in this world. The optimism, the hands-on approach, the selflessness, the endless love, going to the diner, getting a package in college of frozen chicken soup when I wasn't feeling well, except the soup was not in a thermos, and the mailman was not happy delivering a soaking wet package to me. Getting picked up from tennis camp, taking me to my tennis lessons, waiting as patiently as they can for a great-grandchild, hoping it would be a girl. They didn't keep that a secret. They loved girls and loved being parents to my mom and aunt. They took a lot of pride in raising strong women. If there is a heaven, and I'm trying so hard to believe that there is, my grandmother is an angel watching over all of us. She would sit in this shul every single Saturday morning for God knows how many years, as if to say, thank you, God, for all that you've given to me. I want you to know how much I appreciate it. That was my grandmother, a grateful, optimistic, giving queen. I like to imagine that when her time came, she had two of her favorite things waiting for her. My son Ethan, and the love of her life, my grandfather. I could see it now. Ethan taking my grandmother by the hand and immediately giving her a tour of everything he's learned with an excited smile on his face, while my grandfather gives her a kiss that all the grandchildren want to look away from. Allow me to end with a quote. Come, boy, sit down. Sit down and rest. And the boy did. And the tree was happy. That was my grandmother. Someone who was made happy just by giving. Grandma, you gave us more than you'll ever know and taught us about giving, love, and family. Now please go with Poppy and take care of our boy for us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Gary. And now we call upon Jason, please.
All right. So you've heard some of the nicknames so far. So we got Grandma, Grandmala, Nana, Nanala. She is the matriarch of this family, means so much to so many, and she loved unconditionally, always put others first. She has been instrumental in forming the man that I've become. The values that she embedded in me includes family being the most important thing in your life, keep them close, give to those less fortunate, words matter, don't just say, do, never stop learning, it costs nothing to be positive, and give Ariel a kiss every chance that I get. I don't know if that was her or Grandpa, but I'll give them both credit. It was rare to ever see Grandma without a smile on her face, without a response of phenomenal or fantastic to a how are you, or without beaming pride for her 5 grandsons and 10 great-grandchildren. She lived for her family. Nothing brought her more joy. To her great-grandchildren, she was Nana. She went out of her way to have a special bond with each of them. With my oldest son, Spencer, she loved calling him delicious, but even more so loved his response of, I'm not food, Nana. I can't be delicious. With Ryan, she loved making him laugh, and I'm so grateful that Nana got to meet and hold her newest great-grandchild, Zachary, 6 weeks ago. I promise to continue to share the values that you instilled in me with Spencer, Ryan, and Zachary. I am also forever grateful for the bond that Ariel and Grandma had formed. Ariel, Grandma considered you one of her own. You immediately became her granddaughter, and she loved you the minute she met you. Whether it was the pride she had for all the events you planned at work or talking to you about what fruit or vegetable the baby was in your belly, she cherished everything about you. When Grandma wanted to achieve something, she did it. I couldn't even begin to name all the courses she took online, her devotion to this temple, leading, and she would be embarrassed that I'm using that word because she didn't want any credit, Yom HaShoah, Kristallnacht, and the ecumenical services, keeping in touch with everyone from our extended family, writing birthday cards to anyone whose birthday she knew, and helping others and giving back. She truly lived a life of Tikkun Olam, which means repairing the world. Her and Grandpa were the epitome of perfection together. They never cared what they had so long as they had each other. They never cared what they did so long as they were with each other. Grandpa wouldn't go to any Mets games with me without Grandma. On one special vacation, they took me away without having anything booked, and this was with cell phones, so it was a little bit scarier. Didn't tell me where we were going, didn't know themselves when we got in the car. And when we decided on Maine, I started freaking out that we had no hotel to stay at. They didn't care. We went to 5 hotels, all completely booked, and they didn't worry one bit. They were cool, calm, and collected at all times. Hopefully one day I can learn that trait. 9 years ago this summer, I was lucky enough to have gone away for a different weekend with my grandma and grandpa and my oldest nephew, Ethan, to Lake George. For me, being able to experience a weekend at Lake George with my grandparents, who would take us there yearly as children, and to share this with Ethan was one of the most special trips of my life. My heart is broken that none of them are here to go away to Lake George, Okonkwit, or any other family favorite location. But I hope and pray they're together again, smiling, laughing, and watching over our family. Nana can finally be with Poppy and Ethan again. I want to say something to my brothers Scott and Gary, my cousins Sean and Jonathan. Grandma and Grandpa created and strengthened a family bond that will never be broken. They taught us that family is more important than anything. You are all my brothers, and I'll do anything for you. I hope our bonds continue to strengthen, as Grandma and Grandpa would want them to, and they would accept nothing less. Grandma, I already miss you immensely. I'll miss holding your hand, giving each other kisses, singing Goodnight Sweetheart with my boys, your delicious matzo ball and chicken soup, our almost daily FaceTimes, and continuously learning from you. We love you so much and thank you for all that you've done for our family. And for the record, fantastic and phenomenal. Don't even come close to doing justice to how special of a person you are. I love you and miss you, Grandma.
Thank you, Jason, and thank you again to all the family who spoke so beautifully, so movingly about your beloved Audrey Durst. And we've mentioned the term a woman of valor. In Hebrew, it's called an eshet chayil, a woman of valor. And it's my privilege to recite these traditional Hebrew words, traditionally said every Friday night for the woman, the mother of the home, also traditional to recite as we say goodbye and honor Audrey Durst today. I will now recite the words of Eshet Chayil, a woman of valor. Eshet Chayil miyimtza v'rachok mipnini michra batach balev bala v'shalalo yachsar gemalatu tovelo ra kol yemei chayeha Darashat Semer Fishtim Vatas Bechefetz Kapeha Haitaka Aniot Socher Merchak Tavi Lachma Vatakam Biod Laila Vatiten Teref Levita Vechok Lenorioteha Zame Masa Devadikachehu Mibricha Pehanata Karem Chag Rabioz Matnea Vatia Meteroteha Tama kitov sachra lo yichbe balayla nera Yadeh shilcha vakishor v'chapea tamchu falech Kapa parsaliani v'yadeh shilcha levyon Lo tira leveta mishal kichol beita lavushanim Marvadim asta la shesh v'argaman levusha No da basharim bala beshifto im zikne haaretz Sadin asta vatim korva chagor natna leknani Oz vehadar levusha vatischak liyom acharon Piha potcha v'chochma v'torat chesed al leshona Tzofia halichot beita v'lechem atzlut lo tochel כמובן הביישרו הבעלה והילה רבות בנות עשו חיל ויתלית על כולנה שקר החן והבל היופי איש ראית תתהלל תנו לה מפרי הדבלו ושרי מעשיה A woman of valor, who can find? Far beyond pearls is her worth. Her husband's heartfelt trust is in her, and he shall lack for nothing. She bestows good upon him and never harm all the days of her life. She seeks out wool and linen, and her hands work willingly. She spreads out her palm to the poor and extends her hands to the destitute. Her mouth is open with wisdom, and the teaching of kindness is on her tongue. Her children arise and praise her. Her husband, he lauds her. Many daughters have accomplished well, but you surpass them all. Grace is false and beauty is vain. A woman in awe of God, she should be praised. Give her the fruits of her own hand, and let her deeds be praised in all of the gathering places. These words certainly apply to our beloved Audrey Durst. And I call upon co-president of Temple Sholom, Bob Markowitz, to share some thoughts with us. Please, Bob.
When someone asks you how you are feeling, it's nice that they ask, but you wonder sometimes, do they really care? Well, when Audrey would ask you, you knew she really cared and wanted to know. She had a way of making you feel special, and you knew she really cared about you and how you were doing. I always remember how she always asked about my wife, Leslie, and how she was always so caring, and she would make you feel special. And she always said, "Send her my best." Audrey was someone special. She always wanted to help or lend a hand if you needed it. In the past, Audrey and her husband Sheldon were always at our temple helping out, organizing a fundraiser or a food drive. Together, they did so much for us and made us better for it. Audrey organized the Thanksgiving Day Emmanuel prayer service and Temple Sholom and at St. Bernard Church, which brought their community together and is always well attended. Audrey established the Holocaust Remembrance Committee at our temple. She made sure we never forget about the Holocaust and organized several programs each year so we never forget. Just recently, Audrey created the Sheldon and Audrey Durst Simcha Room. This room was redesigned to help our temple and allow families to have a place to celebrate their simchas in. There is so much we loved about Audrey, and we will miss her very much. On behalf of the Temple Sholom family, we say goodbye, my friend, and go back with Sheldon again. And our very best and condolences to her entire family. And again, Audrey, we will miss you so much.
Thank you, Bob. And I'll call upon Frank Sedio, please, to share some thoughts with us.
To the Durst family especially, I bring condolences from all of our elected officials. As you might know, Mondays is the day that they spend in the legislature and in Washington. I understand that the rabbi has a letter from a dear friend of all of ours, our Attorney General Tish James, who I believe you're going to read later, who met Audrey as a result of our events that we've held. Well, you know, I think about Sheldon and Audrey, and I think about Sheldon being a very wise man because he knew the secret of a happy marriage. And that was just to say yes to Audrey when she ever asked for anything. And I suspect that those of you in the room who are men know what that's like, but he did it well, and that's why their marriage lasted so long. When I think of Ethan, I express sincerely my condolences. Next week will be the second anniversary of my daughter's passing, so I know with my heart how difficult this is. It's a club we never want anyone else to join with us. I think of Audrey in so many ways because I got to meet her a very, very long time ago when she was volunteering at Downstate Medical Center. She used to work in the gift shop over there, just all the time. And I just found out today, she used to also counsel mothers on how to take care of their children. Many people in that minority community who are having children at a very young age. And she would be there counseling her, always giving. always giving. A lot of you may not notice, but outside outside here in Temple Sholom is a flagpole. And it was Bernie Katcher who came up with the idea, and who was the first one to jump in to make sure it happened? Audrey Durst. And today that flagpole stands there as a result of their efforts to bring it to the club and the donation from the Thomas Jefferson Club to pay for it. When we talked about starting an event, Bernie Katcher, who you hear his name quite often, a member of our temple, he was looking across the street on many occasions and said, how is it possible that the church is across the street, the temple's on this side of the street, and nobody knows each other? And of course, who was the first person to jump up and join? Audrey Durst. And that had started with her as an example. And today, Tom Sorrentino, who's in the room as well, shared those many, many years together as they planned that event each time. And this year, I think it'll be especially special. It'll be really special because we have to think of Audrey in those days. The last time I saw her was at that event, sitting in the front in a wheelchair, holding the microphone close and doing as she always did, directing how things should be done. By the way, Audrey, I think you know, every event you had, you always looked for a big crowd. I gotta tell you, you're really lucky today because the room is quite full and friends and admirers, and that's because of the efforts that you've given to everyone. We've heard so many things about her, and we've heard her called many titles. I think the best title we can give her is friend. The best title and the best homage we could give her is by doing the things that she did, by each of us taking some of our time each week, each day, or whenever you can, and doing one single act of kindness. If you want to remember Audrey in the best way, I think that would be the kind of thing that you can do. By her example, by us following that example, and by creating times that we can say we've done something good, because that's what Audrey did her whole life, something good. Thank you, Audrey. And now I'm going to ask you all to please stand for a moment. And I want you to do what we always did when we complimented Audrey when she was alive. Let's give her a big round of applause. And thank you, Audrey, for all you've done. Rest in peace, my dear friend.
Thank you so much to Frank Sedio, and as Frank mentioned, we have a letter here which Tom Sorrentino just presented to me from the Attorney General of the State of New York, Letitia James. I would like to share it with everyone today so we can hear these words. Dear friend, please accept my deepest condolences on the recent loss of Audrey. My thoughts and prayers are with you during this time of sorrow. The death of a loved one is one of the most profound and difficult experiences to endure. During this time of grief, may you find solace in the cherished memories of her life and the support of those around you. Audrey's dedication and work on the annual Bernie Katcher Thanksgiving Ecumenical Service will always be remembered and appreciated by all who had the privilege of witnessing her commitment year after year. Please know that my thoughts are with you, and I wish you strength and comfort in the days ahead. Once again, please accept my deepest condolences on your loss. Sincerely, Letitia James. Thank you, everyone. Now, to conclude our ceremony, once again, it is my privilege to recite the words of the Kelmol Rachamim, our traditional memorial prayer, as we pray for eternal rest and peace for the soul of Audrey Durst. We know that her soul is making its way up to heaven, to a better place, to be at peace, to be at one with others who have been lost. And now we pray for her soul as I ask you all to rise, and I will now recite the words of our memorial prayer. El Molei, שוכן במרומים. המצא מנוחה נכונה על כנפי השכינה. במעלוס קדושים וטהורים, כזוהר הרקיע מזהירים. אס נשמס אביגיל אורה בת פלק ופגה, שהלכה לעולמה בעבור שאנחנו מתפללים ביד הזכרת נשמתה בגן עדן, בגן עדן דהי מנוחסה. אוי לכן בעל הרחמים ישתיריה בססר כנפיו לעולמים, ויצרור בצרור החיים אס נשמתה. אדוני הוא נחלתה ושנוח בשלום על משכבו, ונאמר Amen. O God, full of compassion, who dwells on high, grant proper repose on the sheltering wings of your presence, and the lofty levels of the holy and pure, who shine as the brightness of the firmament. Unto the soul of Avigail Ora, Bas Falak Vefega, Audrey Durst, who has gone to her world, and for whose memory we pray. May her repose be in paradise. May the Master of Compassion bring her under the cover of God's wings and bind her soul in the bond of life. May the Lord be her heritage, and may she repose on her resting place in peace. And let us say, Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our services here at Temple Sholom. The interment will take place at the Beth David Cemetery in Elmont. For those of you that are joining us, we're going to ask you to please step to your cars, put your headlights and flashes on. We have instructions that we will be handing out. We are going to be lining up on Avenue U just by Flatbush Park Jewish Center, because we know there are people that are parked in the seafood shopping center. At this time, we're going to ask the grandchildren to please step forward, and they will be escorting the casket. You want to pronounce Shiva?
Sure. Shiva will be after the funeral today until 9 o'clock tonight, then Tuesday through Thursday, 12 to 5 and 7 to 9, Friday, 12 to 5, with Shiva minions tonight through Thursday night at 7 o'clock at the home of Ronnie and Bob Falkowitz. I'm sorry? Sure, what is it? 2412 East 71st Street.